I know that flash was supposed to be the gunfire, but that's not where the shot came from. Why does it say Wright Talent Agency? I find it pretty crappy that Phoenix gave Apollo a card that still said Wright & Co. Law Offices, even though it's pretty common knowledge by this point that Phoenix doesn't work in law anymore. Do you think Apollo wouldn't come if he knew what it really was? He already said he never planned on going anyway. Here, check out our flyer. From magic to the piano, even your defense. Pretty lame tagline if you didn't have defense attorneys yet. Didn't he say he couldn't play the piano? Our agency doesn't see that as a problem. Why there are many magicians who can't do magic? And her point is, both of these are talents that take practice, and clearly, Phoenix hasn't been taking enough lessons for piano playing to even be applicable. So you're Phoenix Wright's daughter? That's right. After Daddy quit law 7 years ago, I promised I would keep him fed, so I'm kind of his sugar daddy. Get it? Should I tell her what that term actually means? The Hickfield Clinic, huh? Not the Hottie Clinic? That's good news. That means I won't have to see that son of a biscuit! Good morning, doctor. Oh, hiya there, Trucy! Cute as ever! Trucy, I don't see any reason for you to be so calm around him, especially since he's looking a little different than when I saw him last. How are you, Miss Trucy? Got any places you'd like examined? Doctor, the nurse was looking for you. Geez, I doubt I'd ever be so calm if some rando doctor was talking that way towards any future kids of mine. Actually, it's a lot worse because Phoenix knows this guy isn't really the director of the clinic. But again, why is this guy still here? You were hit by a car? Oh, he tried to swerve, I'll give him that. Picture me tossed 30 feet through the air, only stopping when my head hit that telephone pole. You hit a telephone pole with your head? Are you okay? Thankfully, my only injury was a sprained ankle. How? Didn't you just say you hit your head on a telephone pole? Also, how lucky is Phoenix to have survived so many things? Think about it. He swallowed a glass bottle that may have contained poison. He got zapped by Manfred von Karma with a stun gun powered by 600,000 volts of electricity. He got the crap whipped out of him by Franziska von Karma, yet he only lost consciousness. He got hit in the head by a fire extinguisher, only causing him to lose his memory. He was attacked by a tiger and a monkey twice each. Maya hit him over the head with a prop sword. He's had multiple cups of coffee thrown at his face, yet only got first-degree burns. And just when I thought we hit the pinnacle of his luck, when he fell 40 feet through a burning bridge into a freezing cold river known for its swift current, because of which most bodies that fell in are never recovered, yet from that experience he only got a cold and mild injuries. This game tells us that he was hit by a car, flew 30 feet through the air, and hit his head on a telephone pole, yet he only got a sprained ankle. Either Phoenix Wright is immortal, or he's using some cheat codes. But you'll always be Dai's little baby girl to me, Trucy. My foot, I'm not buying it. Apollo's right to think this, and it's not even like the game's trying to hide the fact that there's more to the father-daughter relationship. In any case, if Apollo here can't help you, he'll have to transfer to a new school. Again. How often had Trucy been transferring between different schools? And why, for that matter? The Wright Talent Agency is still in Japanifornia, isn't it? Just like it always had been since it was first known as Fanco Law Offices. Doesn't look like this map's going to be useful in presenting any arguments. They can't even be consistent with the times. It was 9:12 when we first came to the Wright Talent Agency, then 9:45 when we visited Phoenix in the hospital, and now 10:05 when we came back to the Talent Agency. Just how far is it between the hospital and the Talent Agency? Hey, hey, hey! It's Guy Eldoon. Sounds like your pops had a bit of a rough spot, eh? Oh boy, is it another Canadian the way he says "eh" so much? You new in these parts? Not really. Then you know the best noodles in town. Eldoon's Noodles. I don't know. Until about my 13th birthday, my best friend didn't know about Topper's Pizza, which in my opinion is among the best pizza joints in my area. In fact, it was around that birthday I mentioned already that he had it for the first time. But what am I talking about? Right, destiny's the word. Oh, I fought it. But in the end, I was bound by the twisted noodle of fate. Not a mental image I care to linger on. Thanks, Apollo. I had innocent thoughts about it too. You don't know the genius that are my noodles? I make them so salty, why they're saltier than salt. That doesn't sound very genius. I like salt in my noodles, but not that much. They're not like McDonald's French fries, you know. He frequented my pop stand back during his attorney's days too. Yep, him and his assistant. Phoenix and Maya? I thought Maya's thing was burgers. My noodle stand. Find it. And the day you bring my baby back is the day you feast on as many noodles as you want. Of course, I make it so hot and salty, 2 pulls kill a man. Then I'd really need defense. In that case, forget the whole as many noodles as you want thing. Just have a single bowl of noodles free of charge as a reward. Also, I don't care about Eldu's relations to Phoenix through the lawyer's patronage. A lawyer's job is in the courtroom. Why couldn't Eldu just go to a detective agency or even the police to search for the stolen stand? Someone stole a pair of my panties. We went from solving the murder of a corrupt defense attorney to helping a 15-year-old girl find her stolen panties. Phoenix right. Daddy's hit-and-run accident. We have to find the one who hit him. Who's going to pay us for this again? Actually, that's a good question. It doesn't seem like Phoenix is going to pay a sufficient amount to find the person who hit him. Apollo, there's a nice-looking lady over there. Did Trucy just refer to Plum Kitaki as a nice-looking lady? Yo, kid with the hair, you want something? Which kid with the hair? There's two. If you're going to ask something, ask it if you're mad enough. Whoa, right! Yay, way to whip him into shape, ma'am. Trucy must think there's some kind of magic involved with slicing me to bits. Then maybe I'd be stitched back together. Oh no, not another Regina. The one who flew 13 feet and just walked away? That's my daddy. Ah ha ha! I should have known. One of our capos thought he'd make a great point man. Because he survived such a dangerous incident? I only have room in my pocket for one of these though. Which do you want me to take? Obviously I'm gonna pick the mirror since it sounds much more strongly related to the car accident. Did something happen here, officer? Huh? No, move along, nothing to see. All the officer had to say, instead of playing dumb, was, yes, but it's police business. Please stay out of our way. Okay, I'll leave. And these kids are? Curiosity seekers, ma'am. They claim to be lawyers. Claim to be? All you have to do is look at my lapel and you have no reason to use the word claim anymore. Want a dose of experimental hydroxyaceluno trace? You realize making up chemical names doesn't make you look smart, right? Also, boy, doesn't she look familiar. Me, little Plum Kitaki, the victim of a panty snatcher. Oh gosh, not you too. It's hard to imagine Trucy's and Mrs. Kitaki's panties having much in common. I just imagine Mrs. Kitaki's panties. And you just went ahead and dragged us into your imagination. The longer you loaf around here, the saltier your victory bowl gets. Just remember that. So he intends to bring us to our death knell if we screw around too much before returning the stand to him. Who's gonna defend him after that? Let's find that legend, Apollo! Isn't it about time he bought a new one anyway? And disrespect his family's legacy? At least they left one bowl. Look there, on the ground. Too bad we had to manually examine it first before we can add it to the core record. So that's the stand's mascot. That face. Is this an admission of how bad an idea it is to put that much salt in your noodles? Why is there a cat on top of the box marked Fragile? I once read a record of a case that Mr. Wright worked on many years ago. Apparently there was this car with a piece of cloth shoved into the tailpipe. How funny, because just earlier we met the teenage girl from the case Apollo's referencing as a grown-up. I remember that case record whenever I'm checking out a car, and I always check the tailpipe. Everyone's gotta have a hobby, I guess. And that hobby's gonna be what saves your life. You must have a nose for finding girls' panties. Why does this sound worse when it's a teenage girl saying that as a compliment? Magic panties? They love them over at the Wonder Bar. I do shows there nightly. One of her tricks is magic panties? Trucy is a real crappy father if that's one of her tricks. Why are we getting a flashback for this? Did something happen? Huh? Oh no, nothing to see here. Move along. You'll have to find someplace else to play doctor. This is the second time and I'm not sure I like this kid gag from the officers. I can understand Trucy, but not Apollo. He's got a freaking badge on his lapel! We need a little more info on this Baractus clinic. We could ask Mr. Eldun, he is their neighbor and all, and we should check out that garage. What if the thief who stole my panties is still in there? We already checked the garage and didn't find anyone there. I examined everything out of order, didn't I? Also, isn't it bullcrap that you have to examine the police car and then talk to Eldun about it before you can go back to the Hottie Hickfield clinic to talk to Phoenix again? The most we get from Eldun is the implication that Baractus was working for the mob. All Phoenix does is confirm that implication. Ah, a body was found there in unusual circumstances. Something more unusual than being dead? Yeah, it's not our concern in any case. Right, let's ignore that and find that noodle stand. Whatever happened to professional curiosity? Whatever happened to waiting for a prime suspect in the murder to be determined before looking into the case? Goodbye, quid pro quo, hello pro bono. Poor Apollo. You know, did he need to start working with Phoenix? Aren't there other law offices he could work under? Your flyer. It says now defending, so I thought. Where? Where on the flyer does it say now defending? The closest I could see is even your defense, but that was always there. Were you hit by a car? Did someone steal your stand? Or your panties? Didn't you hear her, Trucy? She's giving a defense request, not a search request. I thought it'd be nice for a change. Quit my boring job, live the good gangster life. I think you're onto something. Mrs. Kitaki. I like the sound of that. I'm not sure your daddy would care much for that. She's probably just trying to stay on Alita's good side, dude. And he's wearing a Bad Badger shirt. The Bad Badger is property of the police through Gatewater Land, is it not? I must say I'm used to being inspected by the ladies, but this is the first time I felt this way with a man. Please, we already have Rightworth. We don't need more of this. Excuse me, we have a letter of request. One moment. Why is she holding that big magnifying glass? Good point. It's just a freaking letter. I'd recognize that handwriting anywhere. Scientific analysis says this was written by Alita Tiala. Thanks. It took you 30 minutes to figure that out? And didn't you just say you'd recognize the handwriting anywhere? Quiet, please. It's snack time. This is what Emma Skye has been reduced to. Okay, so this part sucks. Once I'm allowed on the crime scene in order to progress the story, I have to first try to examine the noodle stand, then go back to the Hickfield Clinic to talk to Phoenix again. Then he tells me about some white powder I could give to Emma to put her in a better mood. Then I find the powder in the office, then present it to Emma at the park. What a cumbersome process just to get anywhere! Ever heard of a noodle stand being used as a murder weapon? I think the murder weapon was something else. You mean you don't know what the murder weapon was? I'm pretty sure Plummet Alita said it was a gun. I met her on a case. This is about 10 years ago. She was still a high school student at the time. That would make her about the same age as me. Maybe about 3 years older. Go to the office. Under the silk top hat, you'll find a bottle of white powder. Try taking that to this detective. White powder? I hope it's not what I think it is. Thanks for being so mysterious about something so innocent, Phoenix. I remember finding some in Daddy's dresser when I was little. I thought it was sugar, so I licked it. He got mad at me. This is getting more and more suspicious. I knew it! Phoenix is now a crackhead. It all checks out. Also, look at the container and tell me you won't be able to find out it's actually fingerprint powder. I mean, it's labeled, right? Well, if you're Mr. Wright's daughter and you're his apprentice, then I'm available to help you in any way I can. Oh, thanks. You can start by not calling me Mr. Wright's apprentice. That's kind of what you are, isn't it? The oil left by the print absorbs the aluminum powder, so you just dust it on and blow it off. But blow? It's like whistling. You know how to whistle, don't you? Just use X and... Wow, amazing! It's like magic! No, it's not at all like magic. And I'm pretty sure you learn to blow before you whistle. A pistol? Not the easiest thing to come by in this day and age. That's not technically false, but this is America. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard. Well, it depends on where you live, but still. Not like in Japan where you're only allowed to possess a firearm if you're a police officer or military soldier. The noodle stand's owner is... Weird that it's having me present Eldun's profile here. I don't see why the dialogue couldn't just go. Why didn't you just become a forensics expert in Europe? Well, I suppose that was an option, but I had a lot of favors to repay to people back here. What kind of favors? It's not like we have that answered anywhere in the game. Yes, she was involved in the case almost 10 years back, which was of course Rise from the Ashes, but that's about the extent of the connection to Phoenix as far as Apollo Justice is concerned. Also, didn't you travel all the way here from Europe 7 years ago to help Edgeworth with his cases? Twice even? Wocky Kitaki. I don't know if he's the boss's son, but he's certainly throwing his weight around. You don't know if he's the boss's son? Dum-dum, that's easy to confirm. Have I mentioned I've got a bad feeling about this? Don't worry, it's like a right tradition. At it again with the mind reading. My apologies, Senor Justice. He's usually such a nice boy. Yeah. Hit me with the guilty verdict, G. See if I care. You just hang loose and let things go with the flow, you know what I'm saying? Gosh, my client is such an attention seeker. Why did I agree to defend him? How could I pass up a chance to see the true strength of the little boy who bested my brother? Doesn't sound like he's got hard feelings about the fact that Apollo put Kristoff in jail. Not even a little bone to pick with him. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's refreshing to see a prosecutor not being as antagonistic as the others, but still. Is the air in this courtroom not a bit... serious? It is a court of law. That's no way to get the crowd jumping at Judge. They're not supposed to jump. This is a courtroom. Achtung, baby. Today we play it my way. What's that noise? Wait, there's actually rock and roll music playing in the courtroom right now? I would have thought that stuff would be non-diegetic. Also, it's not like Clavier's a rookie prosecutor. Sure, his first and until this point only trial was 7 years ago, but surely he at least understands that courtroom proceedings should be taken seriously. What in the world was a doctor doing pulling a noodle stand? Yes, I believe You will only find that out by asking the defendant right here, right now. Except we don't even get that question answered by questioning the defendant. The sound of his air guitar is a clear contradiction. Why did he kill the director of the Maractus Clinic? Not so fast. The defendant doesn't have to explain that. Oh, but what if the defendant specifically requests to do so, as he did this morning? I want to give a shout out to all my homies, I believe he said. The only reason I can accept for why he's so desperate to get convicted is because he has negative brain cells left. Either that or he just wants to see Apollo get whacked for failing to defend him. We had a little run-in with the Rivalis family. Pretty straightforward name, the Rivalis. Bet you can't guess what their connection to the Kitakis is just from that. Man, putting him down was like doing the world a favor. Wocky! Please consult your lawyer before saying things like that. You're first saying this now? My name is Wesley Stickler. By occupation, I take it you refer to some labor that profits society at large and supports a livelihood, under which definition I must confess to being unemployed. However, we must acknowledge the meaning of identity, which is commonly attached to this notion of occupation, and once we have accepted this reality, we see that our confusion is not gestalt per se, but derives instead from the vagueness inherent in all representations of thought. Oh no, not another one. You ask, quite simplistically, what I saw. However, we must understand that Homo sapiens possess two eyes, each of these designed to receive and interpret data, sending images in the form of signals. Even the game doesn't have time for this. Whew, if that's all of it, I think I have a chance. Is that you relaxing, I see, Air Justice? Huh? Oh, Objection! Jeez, Apollo, stay on the attack consistently when making your objections. Didn't Kristoff teach you that much? You testified that the killer shot the victim square in the forehead, did you not? Ah, I have already determined your angle of inquiry. Allow me to explain. It is quite simple, really. First, understand that when I say square, I speak not of geometrical absolute. What do I mean by this? For example, the deflection of a meter is 1,650,763.73 times the wavelength of the light emitted by a krypton particle, as we all know. In addition, it is a well-known fact that krypton particles are rare and invisible to the naked eye, which points to a basic fallacy in your line of reasoning, namely that which... Mr. Justice. Yes? Was your objection to these, krypton particle things? You actually managed to catch all that? Well, maybe the criminal wouldn't have fired if he hadn't shouted like that. What? What kind of reasoning is that? Wait a second. Tisk tisk, another misleading request. Yet you are so beholden to your own mode of discourse that you can't see how it affects you. Come again? Wait a second, you say? A second? Are we intended to wait just that? A single second? 1/60th of a minute? That's hardly enough time to draw a breath, let alone make a statement in court. Now, had you asked for a longer period of time, say 3 minutes 35 seconds, then... Enough with the lecture! Get to the contradiction, please! When he restated what he saw just now, he said he saw Wocky drop a murderous weapon. But that's not the same as being 100% sure of what Wocky threw away. You're right! Why did Trucy's mouth move when Apollo spoke right there? Also, I see what Trucy's talking about, but it's not always going to be that simple. While it is indeed true that once in my youth I wrote a love letter in my own blood that was seized by the teacher and posted on the blackboard for all to see, and for this the appellation poor might well be prefixed to my name, yet as for the issue at hand... No one cares about literacy right now, we're in the middle of a trial. Oh, and forehead, you're forgetting two other things you've just proven. Huh? One, that the man the witness saw was the defendant, Mr. Wocky Kitaki. 2, that the defendant was holding a knife with the intent of harming the victim. Neither of those points really matter if it was a gun that killed the victim and not a knife. Why didn't you chase the killer? He was, as you say, a killer. Of course I could have run him down, yet what would he have done when cornered? Sadly, it takes more than an aptitude for solving quadratic equations to know that. I don't know about that one. Wasn't your first thought to call an ambulance? It can be said that I have dabbled in medicine. The injury I witnessed, namely a single shot to the head, tends to result in death. Ergo, there was no need for me to call an ambulance. Oh, what perfect syllogism! A proof in 3 parts! Exquisite! Simply exquisite! 3 parts. So I guess that shot to the head, dead, no need for ambulance. Did I get that right? 1 hour and 17 minutes just seems a bit long for what we experienced in the last chapter, no? Did you see it? The very moment he said the word pistol, his fingers got all tense and he fiddled with a corner of a page in his book. Trucy could very easily have just told Apollo about the nervous habit while he was still cross-examining Stickler. There was no reason to just stare in silence and not say anything before the verdict was about to be handed down, then stage an abduction afterward. The recess was meant to be 20 minutes, but was actually 23. That's cheating. Why do we need to see the testimony and segue again before we get back to the cross-examination? Just to see Apollo's bracelet reacting? We already have a clue to go off of for a tell in his testimony. My ears hear what he says. My eyes see his expression. Do I have to do something more? What other senses do I have? Why is Apollo so lost? Trucy already told him what to look out for. This has to be it. Wait, you mean his habit? We just had this conversation a few minutes ago. What's with the flashback? What to ask. Out of the 3 options, only one of them doesn't get you anywhere, and no penalties either. Ah, yes, well, as you can see, my model of cell phone has a defect. It is given to rolling. It's quite a pain when I drop it alongside the road, you know. Do cell phones with such a defect exist? I'd like to know, because it'd be one heck of a defect for it to wind up in the doctor's garage. What does it matter if he saw the killing from the north or south side? It makes no difference at all. I'm sorry, who led us to the understanding of how Dr. Maractus got shot in the temple instead of the forehead? It changes everything, Apollo. Trucy, remember his testimony from before? Though to be honest, I'm a little scared of where this is leading. And then the game goes to explain the contradiction for me. I don't even get to present the autopsy report to back up my argument. Mr. Justice, you did say you were accusing the witness just now for a crime other than murder. But he never said that. Sure was the choice I picked, but it was more like he was demanding to know why Stickler's been silent. That's not the same thing. Close the book and just say something already! You stole this girl's panties to understand a magic trick? You say panties, but they are so much more than that! For me, they are an object for serious study! If you know, you know. I'll just get these sins added to the counter. Each time I spied a pair of panties flapping in the breeze, I thought maybe this would be the pair that would elucidate the mystery. Even that night, as she chased me through the streets, I wept tears of joy. Perhaps this is the night that I will seize the truth that lies within those panties. Yet woe was I, for once again the lacy hot pattern truth slipped through my fingers again. Oh, just put this twerp out of his misery already. When I saw them dangling there on a clothesline by a giant mansion. A giant pair of panties! If this isn't enough for Stickler to get marked by the mob, I don't know what is. Indeed, the defendant, Wocky Kitaki, is still the prime suspect in this case. The only suspect, in fact, assuming there was no one else on the scene at the time. But it's literally impossible for Wocky to have been the murderer. Should the proceedings for Wocky just end and the investigation continue? Oh, but this is the Dark Age of the Law, which wouldn't be talked about as much until the next episode, and even then, still not well. What have Apollo and Trucy been doing since the proceedings ended? Because no way they went for 2 hours. I'm glad we made it out of that trial alive. Really? I had fun, and Wocky made it through the day too. Everyone was too obsessed with panties to bother with the real case. I hear you, but you were the one who presented them to the court. They even got the ever-classic "what about the family business" thing going. Usually it's the father worried about tradition. Inversion of the "what about the family business" cliche. Alright, let's have a little chat with Mr. Stickler. I hope I don't regret this. Trust me, you will. Because you'll get basically nothing from this chat. Just a repeat of everything he already said in court. Unfortunately, in order to be able to talk to Eldon or Plum, you have to visit Stickler in detention. A blatant waste of time. For that reason, how about we give more sins than usual? That's what I shouted! Stop, you two! Let's resolve this like gentlemen! Except that wasn't exactly what he said, was it? That's something new. It's more than a stand, it's history, I tell you! Watch what you say or it might become true. What? Did that sound like a threat to anyone else? Every 5th operation for free. He stole the idea from my pops! 1 free bowl of noodles a week, he used to say. What exactly does 1 free bowl of noodles a week even mean? That sounds very unspecific and a terrible business strategy. For people who like them, well, that's just fine. For people who hate them, I hate onions! Hate them! Always sneaking in from the side, getting in the way of a good tasting spoonful. You know, you don't have to buy the soup broth that has onions in it. Yo, Little Plum, what's up? I think all this gangsterese is a negative influence on Trucy. I don't know, sounds to me like it's doing her a favor. Oh, she's pretty enough, but you know... Nah, it's probably just me being suspicious. Stay in this business too long, and you start to only see darkness in people. Actually, I'm starting to see that darkness myself. Did I say imposter? I meant poster! Like poster girl, right? Poster girl for what? Worried about your, heart condition, maybe? These flashbacks are not only unnecessary, they're too long. If you need to use a flashback, just get to the important parts and nothing else. Hey, you go get Alita for me. You're my lawyer, aren't you? Lawyer, not gopher. You mean gopher? We're talking about someone running errands, not a burrowing rodent. I go to Rivalis turf packing a knife, right? Nice try, kid, but it looks like you brought a knife to a gunfight. About these weapons, the pistol and the knife. They belong to the family. I stuck him out that night. He only brought the knife. Why is he so desperate to be convicted? I would accept that he's trying to protect Alita if he knew about it. This is miserable. Miserable. I just got a new kit and I can't get this stuff to work. Are you talking about the footprint analysis kit? Once we actually got to it, it seemed to me like it would be very easy to use. Footprint analysis, huh? Well, should I give it a go? Why not? Why does the game even ask? Pour the plaster into the print until it's full. You try it. How am I supposed to do that? Actually, I think I'm starting to see what Emma means with this kit. Wait, no I'm not! This is just an excuse for a one-time gimmick! Not bad. You're handier with that than you look. What's that supposed to mean? Something not meant to be taken out of context? I don't doubt this being an effective way to pick up a shoe print. I really don't. But as you can see, before the plaster is removed, there was still some plaster left outside the print. If all that plaster got dried while touching each other, wouldn't it all stick together when the plaster is removed from the ground? Obviously, Emma didn't have permission from the police to collect these shoe prints, but how often do the police collect shoe prints for the purpose of investigating a case? And it's not like people involved are going to wear the exact same shoes every day. What would happen if a person of interest were wearing different shoes than they did on the day of the incident in question? And to keep analyzing the shoe prints, I have to manually select footprint analysis from the talk menu. This one's weird because it's in two parts. This would mean in order to get a match, you'd have to accurately align both parts together. There's a nail on the shoe print. Does that mean Stickler stepped on a nail at some point before witnessing the incident, or is that a design? I could say without even looking that this print doesn't match any print on our list. No, I'm pretty sure you'd have to actually look before jumping to conclusions. Why is this being added to the court record if I'm not even going to present it manually? What's this? Detective Sky? Huh? Didn't the order say it was in Prosecutor Gavin's name? How did the officer know it was actually from Emma? They're from Eldun's Noodles. There's Mr. Salty. Then I think we figured something out. I think we have. Mr. Eldun must do takeout. If he did, he'd run out of inventory. This one's a 50-50 chance. It's either 2-5 or 5-2. Good thing it's just two numbers that needed to be punched in. Still a crapshoot though. And she had access to Wocky Kitaki's medical chart. You got the I and Y wrong, Apollo. Let's ignore the fact that Trucy, despite being a stage magician, actually has access to Apollo's mind and focus on something more pressing. Even if Apollo spoke this out loud, Trucy shouldn't have been able to make the correction because she shouldn't have had any idea those were the spellings he had in mind. Now, I get the joke and how it connects to Apollo referring to Alita Tiala as Alita Tialita, with Trucy correcting him while calling him Apollo, but it's the kind of joke that sends my mind into a logical loop. All you have to do is find out who these sandals belong to. Or do you already know? I'm sure fingerprints are more important to a crime scene investigation than toe prints, but do the police not have toe print files just in case? They have Wocky's age put in, but they don't list height and weight? Man, my old man is whack. Disappointing, that's what he is. I heard he wants to leave the mob. Over my dead body! Isn't that about to happen if he doesn't leave the mob? The day I get out of the clink, that's the day Alita and I start the next generation of the Kitaki family. First step in doing that, though, is clearing your name, which you've made clear time and time again is what you don't want. But you know what they say, the bad guy always gets the ladies. I thought it was the bad guy doesn't get the girl. Was that blonde hair was just a wig? Actually kinda genius since the blonde hair looks more like noodles in a bowl-shaped hat. Court is now in session for the trial of Wocky Kitaki. Added with the judge's line already? No chattering gallery? No gavel slam? Alita Tiala. My occupation is future wife. Would that really be the case if your fiancé gets convicted? Isn't that what you're testifying for? I just don't see how anyone but Wocky could have done it. Except for the fact that we've already proven he couldn't have done it due to the witness's testimony and everyone's positions that night. I'm all for romance and supporting your partner in life, to be sure. But I think I would hesitate at murder. I'd hope you'd do more than hesitate. Yeah, me too. I did go to the clinic that day, my first time in half a year since I quit in January. From January to June. That's not half a year, that's 5 months. I have to present the medical chart again, just to get her to open up about her dark secrets, and it's during a cross-examination too. I can't see it, but you can sense it. I don't know about that, Trucy. I don't have some kind of special power or anything. Well, what's your bracelet then? You've used that a few times, no? The moment you said the word now, you used your right thumb to fiddle with your ring. It's only now that I'm seeing it a second time I realize who brings up nervous habits when catching someone in a lie. The habit in question isn't even about something related to the crime. Just explain your reasoning and be done with it. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony, and we'll have a bit more cross-examination. Why not just ask me to present evidence that contradicts Alita's claims about nothing happening during her visit to the clinic? You keep talking trash about my Alita, and I'll sue you, lawyer man! Huh? Me? Yeah, you said you'd abuse my Alita! Hilarious, but this just proves that Wocky's an even bigger simp than Phoenix was in his college years. So, the family fortune was what you're really after. That's right. I wanted the money. So the beautiful girl is using the defendant for her own means. Didn't we already have this trope with Dahlia Hawthorne? By the way, can I ask you a question? Who, me? I believe you said you were going to abuse me. Uh-oh, I think Alita just caught WSD, Walkie Stupidity Disorder. Frankly, I don't think it matters if Dr. Maractus was shot in the temple or not. But it does matter! We've already proven it! The fact that Walkie's still on trial despite the impossibility is just proof of judicial negligence. Oh no. Oh yes! Dang it, Apollo, you just cut off the Kool-Aid Man's cue. Show us proof that someone was hiding in the noodle stand. The question was proof someone hid in the noodle stand. This prompt requires you to present 2 pieces of evidence. In most cases, it wouldn't matter which order you present the 2 pieces of evidence in, so long as they are the correct ones. But in this instance, the order does matter, and in a way that doesn't make sense. You have to present the Maractus Clinic slippers first, which, granted, a slipper print is seen to have been leaving the noodle stand, but it doesn't fully prove she was in the noodle stand. It just proves she was at the crime scene. You would think to present the noodle bowl first, since there was a bunch of those in the Maractus Clinic, and the person would need space to hide inside, but nope, you need to present the slipper first. You know, the less direct proof! Explain! You have an impression left by a single slipper. What if it was on the stand and simply fell to the ground? I love Clavier, but then there's moments like this. Why would the slipper have been on the stand in the first place? Can you answer that? The fact that he doesn't isn't exactly ranking him high in terms of characters. I think I might be blinded by how he's less antagonistic, honestly. You have a habit of scratching the area of your neck around the edge of your scarf. See, this is where it makes more sense to speak of the nervous habit, because that twitch is actually relevant to the case. Instead, he has to point out every freaking nervous habit he finds out loud to the witness. That has to be the weakest breakdown I've ever seen. It's just the damage animation with even more feathers flying around. Maybe he did think he killed Alita Tiala. A doctor? He may have been in a panic, sure, but surely he still had the time to check if she really was dead. As a doctor, he could totally do that. It's true that Alita shot Dr. Maractus from inside the stand, but even if Maractus thought she was dead, why would he throw the gun in the noodle stand as well? Why would he steal the stand in the first place? If he wanted to carry a body, he would have used his car. Well, the fact is, he stole the stand. The reason shouldn't matter. You're telling me the proceedings went for 6 hours and 12 minutes? That has to be the biggest overestimation so far. You give my Alita back! So you yourself can have another chance to die? Why does he gotta be so ungrateful?